Hey guys, it's heyteacherraf@gmail.com. Email me and I'll help you on this journey to become an ESL teacher, or click subscribe and see more tidbits like this. Today I want to talk about preparation. Let's say you've already done your demo and your mock class and you're ready to teach. I'm just going to go through a few techniques and how to introduce yourself and talk to the student. And remember, you're the teacher, you have to command the camera. Not always, but in the beginning especially. It's performance art in the beginning, right? So you're going to get into a class anywhere between 30 minutes before that class starts, right? There's going to be a timer in the corner and it's going to count down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. About by the time it's 1 or whatever, you can click start class, right? I usually start class at about 10 seconds. You can get in earlier if you want. You could turn the camera off and put it on silent. You could do that, but I don't do that. I start class about 8 seconds in, and then I put something up to the camera. Let's say you could do a stuffed toy or an animal, or you can do a smiley face like this, whatever you want, right? You don't have to do that. This is just my techniques to you so you can understand what I do, and I'll tell you why I do it. So in the very beginning, as soon as your camera pops up, I already have this in the camera and I'm just doing something funny, right? It's either this or a smiley face. So that's the first thing the student sees. Now, if they're a young student, it's kind of an icebreaker without having to say anything, right? They're already laughing. They're already smiling. They're already like, what? Hey, what is this? Ooh, 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 right? So you've already got them engaged. Bam, got them engaged. That's what you need. You need their attention and focus on you. So check mark. You got it. Now, you have it up there for 2, 3, 4 seconds, whatever you want, right? The kid is probably already anxious to start class because that's how they are. And they'll be calling your name or saying teacher, teacher, whatever, or hi, 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 whatever. Kids are hyper, especially if they're lower level. If they're higher level, they're not going to say anything. They're just going to wait for you to do your spiel because they're almost an adult. They're getting there, right? So you're going to do that, and then as soon as 3, 4 seconds comes by, you're going to move that away, and you're going to bring up your board and you're going to say, hi, I'm teacher Raf. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hi, good to meet you. If it's the first time, you're going to say, good to meet you. And then right after you do that, you're going to ask them, what's your name? And they're going to say, my name is blah, 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 right? You're going to let them get away with just saying their name. You don't have to correct their whole sentence at this point, right? If they're going to say Charlie or Mary or whatever, just keep going. They don't have to say, my name is. Most of them will, but if they don't, just keep going. You can teach that later on. The point is, your performance intro is exactly that. It's a performance. You have to control it, and you have to just go with the flow and get all of these things introduced, because it's very important. Because it's not that you're going to get in big trouble, but you'll get in trouble if you don't introduce your name, if you don't introduce a reward, if you don't ask a warm-up question. These are essentials. You have to do it every time. I don't care if you've taught the students 70 times and you guys know each other and you talk about stuff on the warm-up slide. Great. You're still going to have to tell your name. You're going to have to ask their name. You're going to get them to understand they're going to get a reward, and you're going to ask a warm-up question. All of those things every single time. I don't care if you taught them 700 times. It's the first time every time in the warm-up, okay? In the performance, in the intro, in the intro. So, my name is, what's your name? How old are you? If you've never seen them before, you're going to ask, how old are you? Okay? If you've seen them before, you're going to say, how are you? They're going to say, good, bad, whatever. Okay, they might say I'm 10 years old. They might say 12. They might not even know how old they are. Okay, sometimes if it's a really young one, I mean, you're going to have 4-year-olds. You're going to say, are you 4? And you can put up like the numeral so they understand, because they might not know what 4 is verbally. So you show them the number, or you can say, are you 5? Right? And they might see that, or their parent will see it, and then their parent will correct them and get them to say 4 or 5. Either way, if they're too young to say 4 or 5, you're going to move on. Okay, so how old are you? Great. Next, you're going to ask them, are you ready? Okay, this is how I do it. I clap like, are you ready? Why do I do that? To get them to focus in on me. Are you ready? I'm ready. You're going to answer for them. Why? Because it's not about them having to acknowledge it. It's about you are training them to reply during the lesson. So it's imperative that they reply when you give them the signs. This is a sign. Are you ready? See, this is a sign. You have to train them. Some of them won't reply, even though they've had 100 classes. Yeah, telling you the truth. So you're training them every time. Are you ready? I'm ready. I'm ready. You see what I'm doing? I'm answering it for them, and I'm showing them how to answer with my duck hand. Now, why do I do this? Because through my experience, this technique that I'm showing you, this has gotten them to respond to you by saying, I'm ready. Because a lot of them, they won't say I'm ready. Some of them will say yes, or some of them will yell at you, go, a command. Now, is it important that they're not responding? Okay, it's not that they need to acknowledge you. It's that, again, you are training them to respond in an appropriate manner. So if you ask a question like, are you ready? And they just scream go. I mean, yeah, maybe you don't care as a teacher. I get it. You keep going, right? But if they're going to grow up or use English and somebody's going to ask them a question and they're just going to yell at them go, I mean, you follow. That's not, it's not conducive. Okay. So are you ready? I'm ready. I'm ready. They're not answering. You're going to do it again. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. See, this is how you emphasize. This is how you emphasize. Now, of course, you're going to have a nice tone. Don't get all crazy and fast like I'm doing it here because I'm talking to an adult audience. But when you're doing it with a student, you're going to have to go slow. You're going to have to go calm. You're going to have nice, soothing tone. Nice, no stress, no demands, just nice flow because you don't want them bogged down in here. Okay? Because you're correcting them so often, you don't want them bogged down too quick. So they're going to say, yes, I'm ready. As soon as they say, yes, I'm ready, you're going to introduce your fish or whatever. This is what I do. You don't have to do fish. You can do whatever you want. Okay. When you do a good job, you'll get one fish. Whoa, one fish, one fish, one fish. Again, does it matter that they acknowledge you? No, it doesn't. But you're training them to reply one fish. They're not going to say one fish. You're going to say it again. One fish, one fish, one fish. See, they're going to say one fish. You don't have to hold it for too long. Hold it for a few seconds. If they don't say it, move it back. You're going to say one fish. You're going to get them to say it because, see, during the lesson, you're correcting their pronunciation, their sentences, everything. So you're going to try to get them into that habit really early on that when you signal them that they need to respond. That is the whole purpose of this whole performance art intro. You are training them to respond to your signals. That's the point, because otherwise you can't teach them the correct way to respond, right? And you only have 25 minutes and you don't want to have this frustration going back like, oh, they don't understand what you're saying and blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's why you're using TPR. You're using hand signals exactly for this reason, because this helps them learn. This is a shortcut, right? Okay, so now you're going to get onto your first slide. Now you're not going to start on slide 1 or 2. You're usually going to start on slide 3, which is your warm. Slide 1 is just like it says the lesson and the name of the lesson. It's not important. Slide 2, teacher stuff like what vocabulary you're teaching the child and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. Okay, you're going to be on slide 3 because all of that stuff you'll probably look at that before the class starts because you're probably preparing because you're new. Okay, but you're going to start on slide 3, warm up. Now on the warm-up, you're going to stay on this slide for 2 minutes. What do I mean by that? Because your introduction, hi, my name is Teacher Raf. Teacher Raf, good to see you. Hi. What's your name? How old are you? Great, good job. Are you ready? I'm ready. I'm ready. Good. When you do a good job, you'll get a fish. One fish, one fish. All right, way to go. Let's do the warm-up. Okay, how fast did that take? That was about 10 seconds. Okay, now sometimes it'll take longer, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever. I don't know. It's up to you. It's your pace. It's your class. But I'm trying to get you to understand something. You're going to stay on that warm-up slide until at least 2 minutes. So this will help you pace your class. You understand? Now on that warm-up slide, this is when you can start asking some questions and you're going to do whatever the warm-up tells you. It could be Monday, could be weekend, could be the month, could be whales, could be animals, could be whatever. A list of things. Could be shirts, could be vacation, could be whatever. So you're going to talk about that until your timer says you've been going in this class for 2 minutes. Okay? Once 2 minutes, is up, then you can either keep going on that warm up if you feel the need, or you can go to the next slide now. You understand? But the whole point is that this is how you pace your class. You stay on that warm up slide until 2 minutes has passed in total, right? Including your introduction. Okay, so the way I pace this is that for me, okay, this is just my shorthand. You're going to have to develop your own. You're going to have to see how you feel and how fast you speak and your energy and how things flow. You're going to have to organize your classes the way it's best for you. But my suggestion is that you try your hardest to finish a class. Sometimes that doesn't happen. I understand because the student is so slow or they're in the wrong level and they're repeating after everything after you and they can't repeat it correctly, or they're not focused. They're not even sitting straight up. They're like bobbling all over the place and they're everywhere and they're running around with their laptop. I understand. I understand. Try to finish the class if you can. So these are my shorthand techniques. Okay. Warm up slide 2 minutes. Now, let's just say you have 27 slides. Half of 27, 13 and a half, right? So by the time you get to slide 14, you want to have 15 minutes eclipsed of class time because your class is 25 minutes. I want you to have 15 minutes eclipsed on slide 14 if you're on a 27 slide class. Let's say your class is 30 slides. I want you to be 15 minutes on slide 15. Now understand, you're starting the warm up on slide 3. So slide 15, that's only 12 slides taught, right? 15 slides on a 30 slide class. Let's say it's 27 slides and you want to be on slide 14. That's 11 slides because you're starting on slide 3. Okay, so you have to understand how this works. It's kind of a tricky thing. So in the very beginning, right after the warm up, that slide, that fourth slide, I take my time and I make sure that that slide lasts a minute or longer, or a minute and a half if I can. Usually it's hard because that slide is so easy. It's like one sentence and it asks like a basic question like, something about Monday or something about a month or January or something about whales or whatever. It's a very basic slide. But what you're going to do is you're going to take away everything you can on that slide. If it shows a picture of Monday, you're going to talk about Monday or the calendar. If it's going to show a picture of a whale, you're going to talk about whales. You're going to talk about water. You're going to talk about swimming. You're going to ask them all these questions. Do you swim in the sea? Do you swim in the water? Do you swim in a swimming pool? Right? They're going to reply yes or no. I swim in a pool. I don't swim in the sea. And you're going to have to get them to say the full sentence. So if it's a long sentence and they don't understand how to memorize those 6 words in a matter of a few seconds, you're going to you're going to structure it into 3 words. For example, I don't ride my bike to the park, right? That's 5 words. That's 5 plus 3, that's 8 words. So I did 3 and 5. Sometimes you could do 3 and 5, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're gonna have to do, you know, 3, 3 and 2. That means that equals 8. Depends on the level of your student, but you have to understand that's how you do. How this is how you relate to them. That you want them to repeat the sentence and to say it in a complete sentence every time they speak, every time they reply in a complete sentence. This is where your tone of voice and your pacing and your smiles and your charm and all of that comes into play, because you're trying to get them to do all of these things many times during the lesson, and it's not like the most fun, but you don't want to bog them down. Now, of course, you're going to do fun things like a reward. You have AR stickers on some of these companies. AR stickers, that just means that when you press a button, something pops up on the screen, like something funny, like a funny hat or some animal or whatever, something that just kind of, get the atmosphere a little bit less serious and kind of lighthearted and get them to laugh. If they're younger, they're going to laugh. They're just going to love it. If they're older, they're just going to ignore it. You're going to put it on to amuse yourself, really, because you're listening to them read or whatever, and they don't care about some AR sticker because they're older, they don't care. But if you can amuse yourself a little bit and keep that lightheartedness going as long as you can, that's really important. You see what I mean? So use it to your advantage too, not just for them, right? Okay, so that's really important. So you're going to get to slide, let's say 14 of a 27 or 28 slide lesson, and you're going to be at minute 15. Okay, this is the way I pace. Now, by the time I get to slide, let's say If I get to slide, if it's a 30 slide class, if I get to slide 20, so that's five more, 15 to 20, that's five slides. I try to be at the 19th or 20th minute marker. So you have 5 minutes left and you have 10 slides left. That's great. Now, that's great for a younger level, right? Older level is completely a different ballgame. If you're teaching level 5, or if you're teaching level 6, 7, or if you're teaching a reading assignment or a reading lesson, that's not a leveled kind of thing. That's a separate supplementary course. You have supplementary courses. Some of them are easy, for younger students, and you whip through the slides real quick, or some of them have a lot of material on each slide, so it takes a lot longer than 1 minute per slide. Yeah, sometimes it will on a younger level, especially if they have to repeat everything, especially if they don't know some of these words. You have to go slow, you have to let them finish, then you have to give them the attaboy. Always give them that attaboy. You got to lift them up, you got to buoy them so they don't get bogged down, they don't sink in the swamp, because that's how I put it, because that's how it is. So if they're older, they might have a lot of reading to do, and depends on their ability, they could whip through that real quick or they can go slow. Now, if they whip through it, you're going to ask pertinent questions from the reading. You can pick out a couple words and you can ask them, do you like this? Do you like that? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? That's easy for upper level. Younger level, you're really going to have to be creative. You see a mountain, you're going to ask about the mountain. Do you like mountains? Do you hike mountains? Do you hike mountains? Do you climb mountains? Do you ride your bike to the mountains? All of these are questions from one little picture, okay? If there's snow on the mountain, boom. Do you like snow? Do you like winter? What's your favorite season? They might not even be this far advanced. They might not even know what a season is. They might not know the word winter. Some of them will, some of them won't. Depends on the student and their advancement. You're going to have to gauge that. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is whatever's on the screen, you're going to use that to your advantage to ask questions and to get them to speak in complete sentences. The whole purpose is for them to speak more than you're speaking. So you're not going to be speaking as fast as I'm speaking. No way. You're going to speak very slowly. You're going to have a really nice tone of voice. You're going to be smiling. You're going to be very inviting and nice, right? Even if you're upset or frustrated or whatever, remember, you're giving a bit of a performance here, okay? So another thing, let's say you're doing a lesson and you have to yawn because you're tired or whatever, right? You know what you do? First of all, you've got a silencer on this, right? If you have one of these, if you have this Logitech headphone, which I recommend you get a Logitech, it's amazing, right? It's the best one, I think. You can put silence. You can silence your lesson for a couple seconds, silence it, so then when you're yawning, they don't hear you. And then what you do is you have to block the screen. Okay, so either you can do it, you can either click your camera off, right? You don't click the lesson off, you don't exit the program, you click your camera off so they don't see you for like a few seconds, right? You could do that. Or you could take a dive off screen. So you ask them a question or whatever and they're trying to reply, you dive off screen and you yawn, right? You never yawn on screen. But if you're sitting there and you're just so tired you can't even move because you've already done all this performance stuff, then you can put your hand up like this and you pretend you're scratching your nose or underneath your nose or whatever, your cheek. That's how you cover up a yawn. You got to understand, do not yawn in a lesson, but if you have to yawn, you got to cover it up. Now you can cover it up with this guy. So you have to yawn, you put this up to the camera. Now you're yawning, you can't see that I'm yawning, right? You got to cover up the yawn, because if you don't cover up your yawn, you get in trouble, and because people are watching your lessons and you get in trouble for it. It's not like a big deal, but yeah, you get in trouble. They give you like a bad rating or something on that lesson. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. Especially, again, let's say you gotta drink water because you're just so thirsty. Yeah, you can drink water. How do you do it? You silence it and you pop off screen for a moment and you drink. Okay, this is what I do sometimes with the coffee, because if you're teaching really late, right, it's 2 in the morning, whatever, or it's midnight, or it's 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. and you've taught for 4 hours and you're exhausted, this is what I do. Sometimes you have to pop off screen if you haven't drank that coffee prior or whatever, or you're feeling that your energy just took a dive during that 25-minute lesson and you better drink before your next lesson. This is what you do. So Anything that happens like that off screen, or block the screen, or block your face or whatever, you don't want them to see that, okay? Because first of all, they think it's not appropriate for the parents to see it and whatnot because they're paying for the lesson. Of course, I understand. But secondly, you're going to get graded. So that's just a little bit about that. Now, like I said, any other thing that happens, something loud, something in your background, somebody's yelling, somebody knocks on your door, whatever, use the silent button, silence it for a minute, right? Do it. Because remember, you're trying to make the best impression so they become a regular normal student. What do I mean that by that? That they become your regular. They keep booking you, okay? Because you're going to have tons of students that just come and go. You'll see them one lesson and then you'll never see them again, or they'll come once and then a month later they'll come, or 4 months later they'll come, or 1 year later they'll come. Yeah, you'll have students like that. And in the beginning, it's kind of like you got to get used to that, because in the beginning you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong or whatever. You start asking yourself these weird questions. There's nothing to do with you that you can control. They're going to pick and choose whoever they want to pick and choose for whatever reason they want to pick and choose. It has nothing to do with you. They might not like your background. They might want a green screen. They might not like your shirt. They might not like that you're wearing the orange, or they might not like you wearing a hat, or they might like you wearing a hat. They might like you wearing orange. They might like your background. You see what I mean? You got to do what you do. Do it. Try different tricks. Try what works for you. But just understand, don't boggle yourself down that somebody doesn't want to have a class with you. You can't control people, okay? I just had this regular. I had like 20 some odd classes with this kid, and he was awesome. He was a level, I want to say a level 4, but he was much more advanced than level 4. He should have been like in level 6. Very intelligent, very serious, always spoken complete sentences, very kind. Love this student. Why? Never gave me headaches. He was so efficient. I hardly had to work during the lesson. I mean, think about that. How cool is that? And it was just great. You could ask him all kinds of questions and he would answer you, and he was very nice even if he had IT problems. It was great. He never got upset. His parents never gave me like bad reviews. It was awesome. But then one day he just stopped. He just stopped. Depending on what company you're with, you can send like a card, like a greeting card, like a thank you, or missed you in class, or oh, you did such an amazing job, way to go, whatever. The company has these cards already selected, and then you can get a card for free, or they give you these tokens to use. You don't pay for them, they just give them to you, and then you can like use a token for like a different card if it's like some special thing or a special occasion, whatever, it doesn't matter. And you send it to them. I don't do that very often, but I have now because first of all, it's a new year. Every time there's a new year, I send cards because I think it's kind of a cool thing. Chinese New Year, it's special, right? It's a new year, it's a fresh slate kind of idea, right? So that's when I send them. I also send them now because right now there's a huge unrest going on in the world because of the virus and everything. So I do send those, okay? Now, but I don't try to bog my students down with cards, and I don't expect them to send me cards. Now, if they do, that's great, fantastic. And of course, if they send you a card, it's nice to reply and say thank you. You don't have to, okay? But it's nice. Okay, or you can send cards to some of your students that, like I said, they came and then they disappeared, they never came back. You can send them a card to try to get them to think, oh, that teacher sent me a card. They like me. They want me to come back. You could do it that way. Of course, it's a technique, right? Basically, I sent a card, one of these specialty cards. The company, again, makes these cards. I don't make them. I don't even write the message in the card. The company, it's all pre-written. Okay, it used to not be like that, but it's all pre-written, so I have nothing to do with it. I sent a card, and as soon as they got that card, they stopped doing lessons with me, and I'm like, what the heck? What? But hey, whatever. I mean, I can't control that, right? I mean, the company sent the card, not me. I mean, it was a nice card, but sometimes they don't like that. I don't know. Okay, ridiculous, but stuff happens, so you can't ask yourself those questions because there's no answer for it. Okay, so just know, you do you. You do the best job that you can possibly do, and be kind and uplifting and everything. And remember, be efficient and conserve your energy and all that kind of good stuff, and try to get them to speak 70% of the time if possible, if they're in the right level, of course. But if they're not in the right level, probably won't happen. Probably be 50-50. Everything you say, they're going to say back to you. So just trying to get you to understand, if you do your job correctly, you're going to get regulars, and that's important. don't beat yourself up if you don't get regulars or if regulars don't come as often. I mean, in the beginning, I didn't have any regulars, but I had a bunch of new trials. I was just getting trials because I was teaching level two and level three. I think I had level two and three. That's all I had. I didn't have any of these other levels, and I was getting trial after trial, and I wasn't even certified in level one, and I was getting all these level one trials. So level one, it's like a 4 and 5 year old. I mean, you gotta be way up to the camera. You're gonna have to have all your stuffed animals ready. You're gonna have to have your pictures, because that's the way you communicate with them. You're not gonna be talking the whole time. You're gonna be saying one word: fish, fish, fish. You're gonna be saying fish 37 times during the lesson. You're gonna have to have some patience because you want them to say that word fish and you want them to understand what it means. You're getting that comprehension down. But you're not doing fish. You're doing banana. You're doing apple. You're doing ball. You're doing mom. You're doing dad. You're doing family. Very easy. You're teaching 3, 4, 5, 6 words max. Now, I always expand because the kid, you can't just sit there and say fish 30 times in a row or ball or banana or apple. You can say it 5 times, okay, but then you got to move on. You're going to bog the kid down. So at the end, I introduce new stuff. I'll introduce something like you can introduce, the word dino if they don't know, or you can introduce the word car, or you can introduce the word ice cream, or you can do numbers. This is what I do. I go one banana, two ice cream, right? And I do it slower, of course, because you got to wait for them to try to catch on. If they're really young, they're not going to catch on. You're going to have to do it like 10 times. Seriously, 10 times. I mean, I kid you not. I have students, but this is the thing. So you go three mice. You try to get them to say three first, and then try to get them to say mice. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. If they won't, don't keep going. You don't keep going with that one lesson. Just go on. Go for strawberries. So this is something to do at the end, like an extension for the really young ones. And some of them, they know their numbers. So what you're going to do is you're going to, of course, again, you don't have to do this. These are examples. You can do it your way. You can have flashcards, right? Comb, or you can have animals like I do, zebra. Do you like zebras, right? Plural, plural. They don't say plurals. They leave off the S. Do you like zebras? I like zebras. That's how they have to answer that. They don't answer it that way. Do you like giraffes? I like giraffes, right? They hardly ever answer with that S. They always leave off the plural. So you can work on that. You work on the plurals by introducing new vocabulary. Or if it's an older student, you can have other things. You could have like, do you comb your hair? Yes, I comb my hair, right? Do you wear a hat? Yes, I wear a hat. I wear a hat, right? You could do something like that. You could have a hat and you could show it to them. Oh, I wear a hat. So that's what I do too. I get a hat and I just put it up to the camera. Or you can say sunglasses, sunglasses. Do you wear sunglasses? Whoa. And then you can turn them around and be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I wear sunglasses. I wear sunglasses. I wear sunglasses. I've already said it 4 or 5 times, right? Repetition, trying to get them to say it, trying to get them to understand, right? So you understand. So these are just some tidbits, some advice on how to extend the idea of what you're trying to get them to do. Speaking complete sentences, okay? Say the S at the end of plurals, okay? You can see my other videos if you want to learn some other techniques. I'm sure I'll put out some other ones, but this is just an introduction. So remember, you're teaching, but it's part of performance art. Okay, it's not a two-way you're having with your two-way conversation you're having with your family member, relative, or friend, or whatever, or a stranger on the street. No, you are controlling the environment. You're controlling the Zoom conversation here. So you got to do a little bit of performance art, and then your job is to correct them and get them to speak correctly. Your job isn't to just entertain them. Your job isn't to be their best friend or just to see like their new robot or their new toy. Of course you're going to entertain them. Of course you're their buddy, right? Of course you're looking at their new toy. I get it, but you're not doing that for longer than a little bit amount of time. You have to understand that, right? You're the teacher. Act like a teacher, right? You know what I mean. You can't have the kid introduce every toy in the arsenal if it's some, kid that wants to show you everything. Yeah, there's going to be kids that are going to be like that. Yeah, they'll show you this and that. That's great, fine. But you got to move on. You got to steer the conversation back onto the program, onto lesson. Now, be nice. Don't be too abrupt. And, you can laugh and joke and stuff like that. It depends. depends on jokes. Like jokes, okay, I don't mean jokes, but sometimes you can, depends on the student and the rapport, and you can gauge if it's okay. Kid jokes I'm talking about, not adult jokes. I mean, something the kid understands. You can laugh about a fish, or you can laugh about an apple. You know what I mean? So that's really good too. You have to have a little bit of laughter in there. That's why I introduce something like a stuffed animal in the beginning, something funny. Anyway, I hope you took something valuable from this video, and I hope you can apply it and structure it the way it works for you. And if you have questions, just email me at heyteacherraf@gmail.com or click subscribe, and you'll see more tidbits like this. Hey, have fun teaching. Take care.